We all have emotions. We know that. We can be sad, we can be happy. There's a whole myriad of emotions that we can have. Oftentimes, especially negative emotions get stuck in our subconscious. What's so important too about these trapped emotions and releasing them out of subconscious, we're also releasing them out of our body. And if we don't release these negative emotions out of our body, what will happen is disease or dis-ease gets created. We weren't taught that our bodies are amazing. Our bodies can actually heal themselves given all the right conditions. We've given our power away to a medical model that really doesn't work because the medical model doesn't get to the root cause. The medical model only looks at what symptoms are. Now, our indigenous societies, they have been using holistic ways for centuries and centuries. And if we had been smart enough to listen to them, maybe we wouldn't be in the predicament that we're in right now. I think it's fear. I think people are very afraid, and especially if they haven't read about holistic medicine or holistic ways to be, they only are relying on what they have been taught and their experience. And we're looking at that belief as part of our energy, a part of our aura. So it's not just a statement that you write and read, you're actually bringing it into your energy aura. And so we look at doing that. Okay, so if you want to release that belief, I'm unworthy, then what is the belief that you want to have as part of who you are?
Hey everyone, it's Sophia from Sacred You. Thank you so much for being here. A quick message before we dive into today's conversation. You may have been watching the podcast videos, but have not had a chance to hit that subscribe button. So if you have ever gained value from our videos, from our conversations, it would mean so much to us if you would hit that subscribe button below right now, or even just give us a like. And what that means is not only does it allow us to grow our subscriber base, but it allows us to bring in more important guests for you to listen to. And you will be one of the first ones to be notified. So please hit that subscribe button and let's get started on today's conversation. Welcome to the Pathways Wellbeing podcast. My name is Sophia from Sacred You, but much more importantly, I am truly honoured to have the beautiful Permelia with us today. Welcome, Permelia.
Thank you so much, Sophia. I'm just delighted to be here today.
Yes, and thank you. And I'm really excited to talk to you because we've got a conversation about how holistic healing will change the world, and you are speaking my language. You truly are. Now, first of all, Permelia, you're a certified body code and emotion code practitioner, which I do want to go into to find out all about that. And you help people release unprocessed emotions, which I personally feel is the pandemic of the world.
Oh, so I so agree with you, 200%.
Thank you.
All those emotions that we've stuffed down, emotions we even have inherited from family that we can easily release with this process. It's beautiful. It works so well.
Good. So let's get into it and talk all about it. But I'd love to start off with, your work is so rooted in emotional healing. But what inspired you to step into this world of holistic health?
Oh, that's just such a great question. I love to get asked that question. It was a process that I embarked on probably now over 25 years ago. I found myself in a very unhappy situation where I was in a relationship, also I didn't know, I was searching. I wanted my happy back. And so I started to search, and I was the saying, when the student's ready, the teacher shows up. I was very blessed to meet the woman that I call my energy teacher, and I ended up studying under her for 8 years. And she taught me kind of the language that I had always intuitively known that I had always been very spiritual. I was always very sensitive. I was getting into trouble for being too sensitive. And it was working with her and studying with her that she taught me about vibration. She taught me about chakra balancing. She taught me about energy, that we all have energy, that we all have vibration. And just it just made it just felt like I had finally come home. So that's how it all started. At the time, I had a different company. I had an event planning company. So I was not for once thinking that studying with her was going to change my career path. But I was moving from the city where I studied with her to Vancouver Island on the west coast of Canada, where I live now. And she predicted that I was going to be doing something in the health and wellness area. And I really went, sorry, I'm going to what? But her prediction came true, because as I was incorporating all this positive energy, I was just lighter. I felt lighter. I was happier. It showed in who I was. And when I first moved here, I was working at a resort, and my coworkers would comment and say, "What's with you? You're always happy." So I said, I do an energy balance before I come to work. Oh, what is that? We need to know what that is. That's how it progressed. My energy teacher, her prediction came true. I started to teach people what I had learned from her with her blessing. And then my other company, Vibrational Healing, I designed that and set that up in 2014. And then I just learned about the emotion code and got certified by Dr. Bradley Nelson with the emotion code, and then went on to do my body code certification. So yeah, it's been an evolution and a beautiful journey.
Thank you. And thank you for sharing about that. And you've mentioned the emotion code and the body code. And I have had some experience with this, but for everyone who is new, who's never heard of that before, what does that actually mean? What do these techniques involve?
The way I explain it is we all have emotions. We know that. We can be sad, we can be happy. There's a whole myriad of emotions that we can have. Oftentimes, especially negative emotions, get stuck in our subconscious. Trapped. Dr. Bradley Nelson calls them trapped in our subconscious. And because now we know, with the new science and the new learning about energy, we know that really the conscious brain only processes about 5%. The unconscious or subconscious processes like 95%. So I always use the analogy of an iceberg. What's above the water is what's in our conscious brain, and what's below the water is what's in our subconscious. But as we grow up, we're not taught that. We're taught that the conscious brain knows it all. And then we, do some searching and take some courses and some classes and read some books. And then we determine and we find out that really that's not true. It is the subconscious. So the subconscious is so very important, and it's really true to who we are. So we want to make sure that we're releasing any of these negative trapped emotions out of the subconscious. And they could show up for many different reasons, whether it's an illness or an injury. Some of them are inherited. You can inherit them from your family. There's one that I think is pretty amazing. It's called prenatal. And something was going on with your mother when she was pregnant with you, and you got the trapped emotion. I always never think that's quite fair, but that is one of the trapped emotions. There's a few different kinds of trapped emotions. What's so important too, Sophia, about these trapped emotions and releasing them out of subconscious, we're also releasing them out of our body.
Yes.
And if we don't release these negative emotions out of our body, what will happen is disease or dis-ease gets created. And so many times people will get ill and they'll have all sorts of physical issues. And when you really get to the root cause of what's going on, it is usually due to an emotion that they've been suffering from. And either consciously they know about it, or subconsciously they don't know about it.
Yes, and thank you for explaining that. And it's so very true. This could, as you said, it could be from our mothers when we're in the womb, and be past life for people who believe in life.
Yes, ancestors
Absolutely. That we continue on experiencing their trauma, and also especially through childbirth and our childhood.
Yes.
I use the example of you could be just walking down the road or even in a pram and a dog comes up to you and wants to lick and wants to play, but as a very young child, you've taken that as a traumatic experience, and it goes into your body, and as an adult, you don't know why you are scared of dogs. That's a very simple example.
And I have a personal story that I've been telling lately. My sister's 7.5 years younger than I am, and I was an only child until she was born. Wanted a baby sister very badly, was very excited to get my baby sister, but I had to give up my cat. Back in those days, my mom was worried that the cat kept getting into the bassinet, and there was those beliefs that the cat could be smothering the baby.
Yeah.
Okay, I lived through that. And then when I became a teenager, all of a sudden I got allergic to cats, which was very odd because I had a cat for many years and just couldn't understand why I had this cat allergy. So a year ago, I was going to visit my son and his wife, and they had 3 cats. And I wanted to stay with them because I wanted to have a nice visit with them. They live in another city. And I thought, I wonder if there's trapped emotions from back when I was 7 years old and I had to give up my cat. Sure enough, yes, I found all sorts of anxiety and disappointment and discouragement and even fear. And so I did a body code session on myself and released those trapped emotions. And I went and had a lovely visit with my son and his wife. And that was over a year ago. I've been around other cats and I don't have any more allergies to cats.
Congratulations. And it's amazing. It really is amazing how our body holds so much stuff, and then we can easily release them when we know the cause. And why do you think, Permelia, why do you think that it's so often hard for people to identify the root cause of health issues through all the conventional methods that we have available?
Because I believe, Sophia, that we have been on the medical model that we've had for the last 50 years only dealt with symptoms. I grew up in the age of, if there was something wrong with you, you went to the doctor, fixed you, or the doctor looked after you. We weren't taught, certainly in North American society where I lived, that our bodies are amazing. Our bodies can actually heal themselves given all the right conditions. We've given our power away, if you want to use that word, to a medical model that really doesn't work, because the medical model doesn't get to the root cause. The medical model only looks at what symptoms are. And so I think that's one of the reasons why it's been so difficult for our generation and society as a whole to make that paradigm leap to holistic ways. Now, our indigenous societies, they have been using holistic ways for centuries and centuries. And if we had been, as white Anglo-Saxon people, smart enough to listen to them, maybe we wouldn't be in the predicament that we're in right now. And then, of course, once you get into the whole area of having to take prescription and take medication, and then if that's not working, then usually the physician will give you another prescription to counterbalance why that's not working or add to it. It just becomes a vicious circle.
It does. I totally agree with you on that one. And again, I've experienced that with people that I know, that when you really trust your doctor, as you said, they give you a prescription and it's not working, then they give you another one and another one. Or then you've got to take another prescription to counteract the effect of this one, and a vicious circle. Where our Indigenous cultures, they certainly don't go down the road to get a pill. They use their methods, their cultural methods, words or sound or whatever it is.
Methods that I remember as a young child, if I ever got a sore throat or a sore chest or got cough, my grandmother would make this concoction. It wasn't very pleasant. It was like brown sugar and onions. And she would make a poultice and put it on my chest. And that always usually worked. It didn't smell very nice and it wasn't great, but it was her remedy that she'd used on all her children, and it worked. So we don't often need this, not to say, I believe that we need a bridge, and that's what I believe the Healing Institute is, a bridge between the allopathic medical model and the holistic medical model. I don't want to throw the allopathic medical model out, because heaven forbid, if I ever got a broken bone, I definitely want to know somebody that would be able to set that. But I really think we need to also be more aware and be more educated and educate ourselves. Really, basically, we have to do that to find out really if you're taking some kind of, first of all, if you get prescribed a medication, find out what the side effects are. Secondly, if it's not working, really, we have to be in tune to our bodies. And I think that's something that we hadn't really been educated, and really it wasn't part of our society for us to listen into our own bodies.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And it's so true. It's listening to our bodies. They're the number one, I believe, the number one doctor.
Yes,
Knows exactly
absolutely.
what it is. Yes, we do need to see doctors. I said, especially if you break a bone or need a blood test. Tune into our bodies. It will tell you exactly what's wrong and what it means. Thank you. Why do you think, Permelia, what is the most common reason a lot of people stay stuck in their illness or their emotional pain, even when they're seeking help, whether it's allopathic or alternative? Why do people stay stuck?
I think it's fear, Sophia. I really do. I think people are very afraid, and especially if they haven't read about holistic medicine or holistic ways to be, they only are relying on what they have been taught and their experience. People that I meet that are open to coming to me for body code work, they usually have a curiosity of some kind, more of a curiosity of how they work physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And also they have a curiosity about alternative ways of being well and staying well.
Thank you. And yes, again, it's just allowing, getting into the body and allowing it to tell you what's needed. Why do you think people are so skeptical? And especially for those who don't believe that unprocessed emotions can actually affect us. Why do you think it's got to do with fear? Or
I think it has to do with fear to a certain extent, but I also think that people get blinders on. They've been this way, their parents were this way, their grandparents were this way, and even though it's not working for them, they don't seem to be able to break away from that old paradigm. One of the things I do believe that the pandemic did for us 5 years ago was it helped us shift a bit. It helped us look at taking some responsibility for our own health. I remember we'd go to the grocery store. Thank goodness it was summertime. And we had to line up outside the grocery store because they were only allowing so many people in the store at one time. And we had to be like 2 feet apart from each other as we were all lined up. But what that did was it gave us the thought process about, hey, I'm responsible for my health. I'm not necessarily going to somebody else for them to tell me what I should be doing. And I don't know about your country, but we were all masked up for like years. I still actually, if I go on an airplane or if I go on, we have ferries that take us from Vancouver Island over to the mainland, I wear my mask because it's still going around. That virus is not gone. I think that we really just need to be, I really do think one of the upsides of the pandemic was that we did that paradigm shift and realized that we had to take responsibility for our health.
Yes, we did, especially because we all couldn't always go and see a doctor very quickly.
No, I didn't ever see my doctor again in person.
Yes, so yes, we had to start taking responsibility and learning more about it.
Yes, and studying and doing some research and finding out what really works for you and what doesn't work for you.
Let's go into more of what you do, Permelia, with the emotion code and the body code. And I do want to bring the Healing Institute into this conversation as well, because you're doing some amazing things with that. What's something unique about the way that you approach healing with clients compared to the standard wellness practices?
Well, I have a toolkit, I like to call it. Those 8 years I studied with my energy teacher. I have a chakra balancing process I can take clients through. I have another process of realigning beliefs, because we grow up with certain beliefs, either whether it's our family beliefs or society's beliefs. And at some point you get to a certain age and you go, you know what? That doesn't work for me anymore. So I take my clients through a process of realigning those beliefs. Okay, what is the belief that you really you're not aligned with? So let's just use a simple one. Would be, I am unworthy. Perhaps you're in a certain age, you've had a great career, you've been very successful or not, but still you're happy with what you've done. That belief of being unworthy doesn't fit. So I take my clients through a process of identifying what that belief is that they want to release, and then also finding the belief that they want to incorporate into who they are. And this is a process that my energy teacher taught me. And it just works. It's very simple, but it works just so powerfully. And we're looking at that belief as part of our energy, a part of our aura. So it's not just a statement that you write and read. You're actually bringing it into your energy aura. And so we look at doing that. Okay, so if you want to release that belief, I'm unworthy, then what is the belief that you want to have as part of who you are? I am worthy. And so we have a process that I take my clients through that incorporates, as I say, that new belief into who they are. And then we release the old belief. So we don't release the old belief before we've incorporated the new belief. That was one thing my energy teacher always taught me. You want to make sure that there's no energetic gap, that something else could flip in there. So that was one of the things. I also believed, even as a young child, in past lifetimes. And so I have another process that I take my clients through, which is healing any kind of past lifetime energy that they may have brought into this lifetime, and finding out why did that happen? Why is that here? And then, of course, the body code and the emotion code, which is just such an amazing modality, by looking at what those trapped emotions are and how we can identify what they are and release them.
And there's certainly a lot there, isn't there?
Yes.
When you talk about past lives and ancestral trauma and everything else, there's a lot there that we don't know about. And in your experience, what are some signs that someone might be holding on to unprocessed emotions without even realizing it?
Any kind of physical discomfort that they have is definitely a sign that something's not right. And I'll give you an example. I was just doing a session with a client today, and she was having some teeth issues. And so the body code is amazing, because that application, that process looks at everything that's going on in the body, all of the systems, all of the organs, everything. And we drilled down to where the teeth are, and I released some emotions for these two particular teeth on the left side, and at the back of her mouth. There was molar 1 and molar 2. And by the time I finished releasing the trapped emotions, that she said, oh, that feels better. She could feel right away that the discomfort in her jaw was gone. That is quite clear when we have something physical. But I've been doing this now. I've been certified as a body code practitioner since December 2019. And so I've been doing it for a while. And I find that my clients we'll do a session either over Zoom, or if I can, local clients will come to my office, and they can feel that energy, because the other thing that Dr. Bradley Nelson calls these trapped emotions are balls of negative energy, and he relates them to about the size of your fist. So if you're releasing these balls of negative energy, and sometimes we release 12, 15, I've released in one session up to 20 balls of negative energy. It's like almost purging. It's like this energy that you're releasing, all of this heavy energy, and what's left is just the lightness. And so my clients will talk about feeling tingling, they'll feel lighter, often they'll feel like they need a nap because of all that heavy energy that they've released.
I imagine it's similar to breath work when you're saying, you're using a lot of energy, and you do quite often feel like you need a nap afterwards because your body has released and done a lot of work. So thank you. And for everyone who is watching or listening, do reach out to Permelia by clicking on the links below and just to connect. Now, Permelia, you say that you talk to people over Zoom, and do you have a discovery call? We will put all your links below, but how do people start the process?
Yeah, so I do have in my calendar, you can book a 30-minute complimentary information session to see whether or not this is a good fit for you. I truly believe in that. We need to have a conversation to see whether or not it's something that a potential client would like to explore. So we have a chat about that. And the 30 minutes is just really, we could probably go longer, and I have done that with clients. It's just gives people an opportunity to put their name and email in my calendar, my electronic calendar. And often when I do get those, almost always, when I do get those calendar requests, I will always add another 30 minutes because I don't want to run out of time. I don't want somebody else to book 30 minutes after so that we're going to run out of time, because health and healing it's a conversation. We have to talk about what's going on. You need to know. So it's really important to have that discovery call. I agree.
It is. So again, thank you for offering that. And for everyone who is watching us today or listening, do reach out and take advantage of it, even if it's just to have a chat, because then you become more aware of what's going on in your own body. So thank you so much for sharing that. Let's go on a little bit about the Healing Institute, right, while we have time, because you describe it as being divinely guided, which again, you're speaking my language. Sacred You is all about being guided and listening to that guidance. How would you like to share what the journey of creation, how did you actually start it? What did that look like? And how does spiritual alignment play into your work?
That's a great question, Sophia. I really love the fact you asked me that. I've always been a very spiritual person, even as a young child. I can't say that our family went to church, very middle of the road, nothing major, but I was always raised, my grandmother, who I'm named after, she was a very spiritual woman. And I just being around her, being part of who she was, you absorb it, especially as a child, as a young child. So that's always just been part of who I was. Now, how the Healing Institute got started was in the fall of 2019, just to give people an idea as to where we were. I was looking around this small city where I live on Vancouver Island on the west coast of Canada, and I was looking for a building or some kind of space for holistic practitioners so that they could come and do their yoga retreats or do their workshops. I even wanted to, I had in my mind, I would have a few offices so that if practitioners or holistic practitioners wanted to see their clients in a more private area versus meeting them at the coffee shop, or perhaps not wanting them to come into their homes, because when you're meeting people for the first time, you're never really quite sure. You want to be careful. So that's what I was doing in the fall of 2019. Now, I'd had a previous company years before that was like an incubator office center. So I knew that's similar to what I wanted to do, only on more of a holistic wellness scale. And that's what I was doing in the fall of 2019, just searching, doing some checking out. what was going on. And then, of course, we know what happened in 2020 and everything got shut down. There was at least 3 to 6 months that we didn't even go out. I learned Zoom for the very first time because, of course, prior to that, I'd seen all of my clients in person. I did have a couple of clients we did the work over the phone, but for the most part, I networked in person. I had no idea that all these networking platforms were going to show up, but that's what happened. And there was one in particular that I got involved with, and they started interacting and networking with other networking groups from Australia, from Ireland, from Scotland, from South Africa, from the United States, obviously, because we're close to them. And I started meeting holistic practitioners from all over the world. And I thought, oh my goodness, maybe I'm being divinely guided. And that's why I say I feel like I've been divinely guided to look at the bigger picture, to not just be doing something local, but actually doing something on a larger global scale. And so I was working with a wonderful business coach at the time, and she could see my vision, and my vision really is to provide health and healing and hope for people on the planet. We really want to give people alternative ways to be well and stay well. I say on our health journey because we're all on a health journey. So let's make it a proactive one, not a reactive one. And I started on being introduced to these other global networking platforms. I started to meet holistic practitioners everywhere. And I would have one-on-ones with them, and they'd say, yes, that would be great. I have my own business, but to be part of something on a more global scale. And that's exactly how I designed the Healing Institute, calling it an institute as well, because I'm really passionate about educating people. So it's a bit of a misnomer because some people think that they're going to come and take classes, but I usually explain that. No, it's because of the education component.
Thank you. Can I just take a moment, Permelia, just to really honor you?
Oh, thank you. Yes.
I have an understanding of what it's like to create something global. You've undertaken a huge venture and adventure, a huge venture.
Yes, both, definitely.
Both. And just to bring that to the world, to bring hope, as you're saying, and healing, other modalities, other options for people who are ready to go out there and look for other options rather than going down the allopathic way that they want something else, that you're bringing this to the world. So just really, I just like to honor you and thank you.
You are most welcome, and thank you for that. And the reason one of the ways I say how we differ, the Healing Institute differs from other wellness directories, because there's lots out there.
Yes.
We are a community.
Yes.
So we're small still, we're growing, but we have a very small core group so far, but we all know each other. We get to know each other. We find out what the other modality is about if we don't quite want to know, or we don't quite know. I have a new practitioner who does Egyptian Reiki, which is really cool. And so we want to know, okay, so when a client's coming to the Healing Institute, they might, let's say they decide they want to pick me to do body code work, but then I've got these other practitioners that I can recommend because I know what they do, and I can recommend them because I know how good their work is and how they could benefit the client. And so that's how I say we're different from other wellness directories, is because we're a community.
And community is where it really counts, where it really
Absolutely.
We're not meant to be alone in this world.
No, not at all.
And I really do hope that sometime in the future, the Sacred You community can help you in your mission. So thank you.
I would love to work with you in the Sacred You community because I think we're so well aligned. There are things that we should be doing together.
Why the universe has brought us together again.
Yes, absolutely.
And can you share, before we wrap up, would you like to share any, is there a daily or a weekly practice someone can do to really start their journey or begin supporting their journey of emotional healing?
I truly believe that when you wake up in the morning, if you can even put 5 minutes of your day to either a prayer or meditation, before you jump out of bed and start looking at your phone and your computer and answering all those emails. I've been doing this practice now for over 20 years, where I have a morning, what I call it, my yoga meditation. So I put my yoga mat down on the living room floor and have a little fireplace that's just, it's electric fireplace, so it doesn't actually have to have heat. I just like to see the flames. And so it just gives me that very calm getting into my day. And that has really supported me on my journey. And it was one thing that I've incorporated, really a daily practice that I just have to do it every day, because I actually do get up earlier than I would normally get up. But that it's so important to me to be grounded. And that was one thing that my energy teacher taught us about being grounded. I feel with the wellness work that I do, I need to be grounded so that I can support my clients. So I do have that. I have that. I would recommend that. And I know people are very busy, and other people might get up in the morning and go for a walk out in nature. That would be that, either or. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be whatever people feel that helps them get grounded and get started on the day. I also, at the end of the day, I have a gratitude journal that I write in. So that just helps me settle my day. I can write all the things that I was grateful for that happened in my day. And that it's like the end of the day, just before I go to sleep. I'm doing it in bed with my pajamas on. So it just really helps me. Anyway, I love doing that. Those are two things I would recommend that people try to incorporate. And even if you don't write a gratitude journal necessary, just be thankful, be grateful. Gratitude is such a high vibration. Being grateful is such a very high vibration. It's right up there with love. So it's a beautiful thing to especially either do your gratitude journal in the day, in the middle of the day, it doesn't matter when, or whatever you're grateful for. But I think that is one of the high energies that we need to incorporate in our world.
And it is, and it's so true, because, and again, I agree with you, and especially in today's world where we are bombarded with technology and all the effects of that. And quite a lot of people, you're on the computer so much, and then you're sitting down watching TV, or you're scrolling through the phone or something like that, and then you go to bed. And that whole energy is brought with you, and we don't realize that it actually affects us. It affects the way we sleep. It affects how we are the day. So to be able to just to get off the technology and spend a few moments in gratitude, like you said, thank you for sharing that, whether it's writing or just thinking about it, it reprograms the mind.
It does. And a tip that I often give is, don't have any electronics in your bedroom.
Not good.
Because that vibration, those gigawatts or whatever they're called, that can really interrupt your sleep. So if you're having any sleep issues, you definitely don't want to have any electronics in your bedroom.
No, you don't. Thoroughly agree with you again. And also with the grounding. The earth is so healing in whatever way you can. It is such a good thing to be able to ground yourself, to connect with the earth. And I really believe, I said, it is healing. It actually takes some of our pain and issues, emotions away from us.
Absolutely. I agree.
Thank you. And Permelia, if you could reframe one belief people hold about illnesses and emotional pain, what would that be?
To let it go. We don't need to hold on to it. Really, we don't. We're sent here. I believe we've been sent here in this incarnation to be joyful. So let's be joyful. Let's feel the joy in our lives. Joy is another very high vibration. And the more that we feel joy inside, the more it shows in who we are. And so that is that vibration of joy, whether you're just walking down the street and you pass somebody and give them a smile, that they're going to get that joyful vibration. I think that's so very important. And especially in the stress that we're having right now in the world, just to be able to let someone see that there is love and there is joy, and life can be joyful, and we can be happy.
Yes, and yes, again, we're meant to be here. I believe that our purpose in life is to experience joy.
Absolutely.
That's
yes.
why we came down here, to learn all the lessons that we have to learn so we can experience joy. It is our innate nature.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Just have another question about the emotion code and body code technique that you practice. Now, we're talking about emotions. Now, is this all emotions, all suppressed issues that someone has, whether they're physical or spiritual or even financial? If someone has financial beliefs or challenges, you can suppress those emotions in your body. So does this help with all types of emotions?
Everything. Yes. All different kinds of emotions. It helps with physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, financial. I've worked with clients in all those realms, and to find out what is trapped that's stopping them from moving where they want to go, or getting to that area of happiness or joy, or just feeling less stress in their life. So it's very important. Yeah, helps with everything. Dr. Bradley Nelson, who created the protocol, is brilliant, just brilliant.
How do you know? How do you actually know if someone they know that they've got blocked emotions? But how do you actually know what they are, what's the cause of?
Oh, that's a great question. So the process that we use is, whether it's over Zoom or over the phone or in person, it's the same process. So it's connecting to the client's subconscious with their permission. So it's like we're working together as a team. It's the client, their subconscious, and me. And I have a chart of trapped emotions that Dr. Bradley Nelson created. It's a chart of 60 trapped emotions. That's really the emotion code. That's the basis for the emotion code. But we use that chart with the body code as well. And so I'm muscle testing. So this is what I love about this process. So all the components are true to who we are. So our subconscious is true to who we are, to find out what trapped emotions need to be released, or where in the program that we need to go, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual. It could be organs, it could be glands, it could be any of the systems in the body, the digestive system, the nervous system. We muscle test. For many years, I used a pendulum, but now I just use my fingers. So when my fingers stick together, that's my yes. And when they come apart easily, that's my no. Now, the client has already given me permission for me to be their proxy. And so we're working at it together, but it's their subconscious that's leading us in the process and in the program where we need to go. And also in the chart of 60 trapped emotions, trying to find which emotion needs to be released. It's all their subconscious is telling us and directing us where we need to go. And then this is the cool part, Sophia, that to release the trapped emotion, we have a little magnet, can be any kind of magnet, just a fridge magnet, and you run it over your governing meridian, and the connection of the electromagnetic field, or our aura, which again is true to who we are, and the magnet is stronger than the trapped emotion. So that's what releases the trapped emotion.
Wow.
I just get goosebumps whenever, truth bumps whenever I explain that, because I think it's so cool.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that. Truth bumps. And I like that too. And I will certainly be checking everything out that you offer myself, and do recommend for everyone who is watching or listening to connect with Permelia, because again, we don't know how much our trapped emotions that we don't even know about are holding us back. So thank you. Before we say farewell, Permelia, is there any other question that I could have asked you? And how would you answer?
I would say sometimes I get asked what advice I would give people. And this is what I always say. Be curious. Ask questions. Do your research. Always ask questions. Always find out what's happening and what's going on, especially with yourself and your body. I make a little joke now. I say what we got in trouble for as children is probably our superpower. And I was always in trouble for being too sensitive and asking too many questions. So I think it's so important. It's so important for us to be curious and to learn and to know what's going on and what's happening so that we're better prepared. Not always 100% prepared, but at least somewhat better prepared for what happens in our life. And I'm just a curious person. I just like to know. I love to learn. So that's my advice that I give people.
To be curious, absolutely, because without being curious, we don't know. We don't know what's out there. We don't know what we have to learn. So thank you for that. And again, for everyone who's watching, do click on the links below to reach out to Permelia herself and also the Healing Institute. About that and everything that's available, because it is incredible. And like I said, Permelia, you've done some amazing work at just bringing it all together. Again, thank you. And thank you ever so much for joining us today. Please do come back and have another conversation, because
I love that.
You are an inspiration for people who are on their pathway to well-being. So thank you.
It's delightful to be here, Sophia. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I look forward to continuing our relationship and conversations.
Definitely, absolutely. Thank you. Wow. What an informative conversation with Permelia, who shared her experience of releasing and overcoming blocked emotions and how it affects not only our body, but our life. Reach out to Permelia for her complimentary body code session and everything else that she offers by clicking on the links below. And also visit the Healing Institute's website to find out more information on all the other methods of healing that we have in our world. For more empowering conversations, tools, and strategies, do follow Sacred You on all the social media or visit our website at www.sacredu, that's the letter U, .love. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss another episode. Thank you so much for tuning into our podcast. Stay grounded, stay inspired, stay connected, and until next time, keep walking your pathway to well-being.